Okay, so in this video, what we're going to do is go over some of the common issues you might run into when you're trying to unmute in AltspaceVR. So looking down here at the menu, you'll have your radio menu that you're probably used to by now. And if you look at this unmute button, if I click it, it should unmute. And at this point, anyone in AltspaceVR should be able to hear you. But there are some common issues that you might run into. One of those is that if you try to unmute and you get a message that says that you do not have a device attached or you don't have a microphone attached, what you will have to do is restart your Oculus. So the easiest way is just to hold the button down on the side of the Oculus that you use to turn it on, and just hold it down for about 15 seconds. After that 15 seconds or so, the Oculus will turn off. Wait for maybe 20-30 seconds, and then hold it down until you see the Oculus symbol, and then it will reboot. Once the Oculus reboots, then you'll have the opportunity to come back into AltspaceVR and see if it fixed your issue. If that was not the message that you got, or that does not fix your issue, the next step is to check to see that your hardware is actually unmuted. If I click this and it says it's unmuted but no one can hear you, that means your audio inside your actual hardware is probably muted. So the way to fix that is pretty simple. The first thing to do is make sure you know which button to hit. So when we talk about opening your menu, there's two different menus. There's this menu here. Okay, this is your AltspaceVR menu. So this is where you can do things in AltspaceVR specifically. But what we're looking for is the hardware menu, the actual Oculus menu. So the way you get to that is if I look down at my controller in my hand right now, you'll see I have different buttons, tells me what all the buttons are. And the one I'm wanting to click is the one that says Oculus Home. So if I click Oculus Home, then it's going to bring up my actual Oculus menu. Okay, so this is where you can do a bunch of different things. You can quit AltspaceVR, launch different apps, and all of that. Down on the bottom left, you'll see the time and a battery and a couple other things. If I click that, then it gives me sort of a context menu. It lets me change a few different things. One of them is our regular volume, which is how loud we hear things. And then down here on the left is a mute button. Now I'm going to click it. I'm not going to talk while it's active, but when I click it, it'll turn red. And then when I unclick it, it'll be unmuted. So if you see that it's red, you'll need to unmute this. And then after it's unmuted, you can just click the Oculus Home button again, and that menu will close, and you'll be back in AltspaceVR. So back in AltspaceVR, you come back over here and you unmute and see if people can hear you. Usually that will fix the issue. So there are a couple other things that could be happening, and this is a little bit more rare, but it does happen. So if none of that has worked, the next step is just to make sure that AltspaceVR itself isn't muted. This is inside the room itself. So every time you visit a new room, you'll be re-muted and you'll need to unmute yourself. But AltspaceVR also has its own mute, which is rarely turned on, but it can be. So the way to figure that out is you need to go back to the title screen, which is right here. If I click this title screen, it'll bring us back to that first menu you saw when you first came in here. And you'll see the place where you enter your code and everything. If you go down at the bottom, you'll see a microphone, and it might be red. If this microphone is red, you will need to click it to turn it back off. If you try to click that and it doesn't turn white like this, where you can see yourself talking, then that means that there's sort of a hiccup in the most recent version of AltspaceVR. So the simple fix for that is just to basically reinstall AltspaceVR. It's not too hard to do. So the way we do that is we reopen our Oculus menu. So click the home button that brings up this, and we want to quit AltspaceVR. So let's quit. And then give it a second. And now I'm back in my home space where I can launch different apps. Now down here is where I want to go to get to my AltspaceVR app. And over here where AltspaceVR is, there's 3 dots. If I click this 3 dots, it takes me to this information. We'll want to click uninstall, okay? So you want to click uninstall. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to actually uninstall it right now, but you're going to click uninstall. And once it's uninstalled, then you'll just go back to the store, and you'll want to search, so store, and you'll want to search for AltspaceVR right here. So we'll just go up here, we'll type AltspaceVR, and then you'll click it and install it. Okay, so there should be an install button right here. Once you've reinstalled AltspaceVR, go ahead and jump back into AltspaceVR, re-enter your code, get back inside the environment, and try again. Hopefully that won't be the process you'll need to do, but there is always that possibility. If none of those situations work, then you may have to do a hard reset on your device. If you need any further assistance with any of this, feel free to reach out to support@linktovr.com. Once again, that's support@linktovr.com.